Sugar was down to 47 last night.
Hey everybody, it's Becky at Living the Dream Quilt Shop, and that's my mom back there in the back. Hope you guys are having a great week, and I hope you're ready for this week's block of the week. We are going to be doing the 9 patch with a twist today. And as you can see up here on the quilt, right here in the middle is the block you are going to be making today. Here is the 9 patch we did last week. We're going to start building it the same way with different dimensions, a little bit bigger because we're going to be cutting it up and twisting it around. So, how is everybody doing? Did you guys do good with your blocks last week? Say hey when you come in, let me know you're here, and let me know how your block of the week went last week. I've had a couple calls. We are not going to square the blocks up until we finish all 12 blocks. I've had a couple girls that are a little bit short on the 12.5 inch, and that's perfectly fine. Um, we are going, when we go to square them up, we will square them all up to the same as our smallest block. So just try to keep that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Keep the same seam allowance that you're using now. That way everything will fit in really good together. There's Dottie Dillon. Hey, Miss Dottie. Thank you for the help with the math today, Dottie. Um, we are going to be doing this 9 patch. There are several different free available patterns out there for the 9 patch with a twist. A lot of the times they have 2 cuts up and 2 cuts across, but we are going to be doing 1 cut to keep it easier, and it makes a really pretty block. I'll show you. I just tried some scrap fabric a little bit ago just to try the block out. And if you've got scrap fabric sitting around, look how cute of a block that makes, even with just scraps that I had sitting in the quilt shop. And you can make a beautiful quilt out of that. Karen Warwick from Dayton. Hey, Miss Karen. Karen, when I get done here, I am going to go on and cut orders out that I've gotten off Etsy, and I will add those pins to your order and get that out to you. I am so sorry. My mind has left me. Totally left me. So, is everybody ready to get started? There's Sandy Wilmoth. Hey, Miss Sandy. And after the stream tonight, whether you're with me on Facebook or whether you're with me on YouTube, I am going to put the dimensions for next week's quilt block and a coloring page. So we'll go ahead and cut today. There's Angie Stevenson. Hey, Miss Angie. We will go ahead and cut our blocks for today's. And tonight, I'm going to add it in the comments for the today's block of the month. And on Facebook, I'll probably go live and show you the dimensions. Well, I'll go live on both, show you the dimensions, and in the comments, we'll have the link to the coloring page so you guys can go ahead and figure out where your colors are going to be. We would have done it for this week's, but because of the twist, and you get to decide which way you're going to twist it, I couldn't make a block up to replicate yours because they're all going to be different. So let's get started. I'm going to switch you over to my other cameras where you can see my space. There we go. And I've got all my lovely material for this quilt. I have my small ruler, so make sure you've got your small ruler, or if you're using just your bigger one, we can use that to draw our lines. We also have our 12.5 inch square up, which we really don't need unless you are using your 12.5 inch square up to cut your blocks. I have been using this smaller one to cut my blocks. It's a little bit easier to maneuver on my table. So what we're going to do first, we need 9 blocks out of your fabric, and it's all your choice. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 blenders, a background, and a border fabric that I like to use inside my blocks too. So I know that I only need 1 5-inch square of my border fabric because in the beginning I'm going to put that right in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And let me get my rotary cutter here. I did forget some of my notions. So how's everything going in everybody's world today? You guys doing okay? We are going to cut our squares today. If you remember last week we cut at 4.5. Now because we have this extra that we're going to do today, where we're going to cut our, let me see. We are going to cut down the center, and then we're going to cut across. And then we're going to twist them and sew them together. So because we're doing that, we need a little bit more for the extra seam allowance. So we are going to cut our squares at 4 3/4. 4 3/4. So I'm going to show you here, for those of you that are new to rulers, on my square up ruler, between 4 and 5, I have 3 lines. Each of those lines are 1/4 inch. So what you want to do is you want to cut the line closest to the 5. That is your 4 3/4 line. So I'm going to lay this down on here. And because I have my selvage here at the bottom, I'm going to put it on 5 1/4, because I'm going to cut that selvage off. And then I'm going to make sure on this edge, because I have a nice straight edge on the edge of my fabric, I'm going to put that right on the 4 3/4. And I'm going to cut over this way. Oh, got a little stringer hanging on. And down this way. And then I'm going to flip this around so I can get that selvage cut off. And now I'm going to line it up at 4 3/4 and 4 3/4. That side's already good, and just cut that top off. So there, I have the middle square for my block. And make sure your irons are on. We're going to have to press our blocks. And I'm going to turn this camera just a little bit. There we go. Now you can see me better. Okay. And we'll do like Jenny Doan. We'll take the scraps, flip them over our shoulder. The maid, a.k.a. Becky, will pick that up in a little bit. All right. Now, I want to use my background fabric in this one because, as you can see in this block, I'll show you the one in my scrappy. I want a little bit of light color. I don't want all of just my blenders because they're all so dark. So I'm going to use the background fabric as one of my blocks just to bring in a little bit of light. You don't have to do that. And I'm sure they'll be perfectly beautiful without it. But I do want to cut one square of that. And if you have a lot of bulk, it's sometimes hard to cut just one square from so much bulk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out a square bigger than what I need. That way, and I gave extra fabric allowance with the fabric yardage. So you guys could do it. Just don't cut out huge amounts, but you have enough that you can do that. Okay. And I'm only going to use one square of this fabric. So let's see. 4 3/4, and make sure I've got enough on here to do this. And I did not cut enough. Oh no. I might have to use this for one of the smaller blocks. Okay, so let me try again. I'm actually going to lay my fabric on here to make sure I'm getting what I need cut out. Let's see. That might have been the smarter thing to do in the first place. So if I go about a 1/2 inch down, and I'm going to put a little snip here so I know where to cut. And I'm going to cut this out first. Go about a 1/2 inch further. And that makes it much easier to cut, square this off and make sure I've got the right amount. Okay, so 4 3/4. I'm checking to make sure I've got enough fabric on all 4 sides. Yes, and I'm going to be going into my selvage just a tiny bit, but it's less than 1/4 of an inch, so I'm not going to worry about that. When I sew it together, that's going to take that out. And we need 9 of these squares. So you pick your colors and you cut the squares. And I don't know if Seth has joined us yet, but he has been working on getting the community for YouTube to where you all can post pictures each week. Seth, if you're on here, or Karen Warwick, he was going to call Karen and see if it was working. Did he ever get a hold of you yet, Karen? If he didn't, the Master Chief that's always on me, I'll get on him, Karen. Make sure he's doing right by us. Alright, so there is, I only need 1 of these. Okay, so there is 2 of my squares cut. Now I need 7 more. So I need to decide what colors I want 2 of, and 1 of them I want 1 of. I think I'm just going to do 1 of this pink and 2 of each of the others. So there, I know I've got a good 5 inches here. And I'm going to cut that down to 4 3/4. But I'm just cutting it a little bit bigger so I can get this bulk out of my way. A lot of people will cut strips when they're doing quilts and then cut their blocks down. But the thing about this sampler quilt, it has so many different measurements that we don't want to cut a whole strip of 5 inch, because next you might need 9 inch or 6 inch or 2 inch, and you don't want to waste a lot of your fabric to get just one cut. So that's why we're not doing strips yet. And 4 3/4. Right here and cut that little piece off. Alright, so now I just need 6 more of my blocks right over the shoulder. So I'm going to cut 2 of this pretty one out. So now I'm going to have my fabric doubled over because I want 2 cuts. And what you need to make sure of when you're doing 2 cuts, you want to pull the fabric over to the side and make sure, especially if you're cutting close to the edge, that you're getting the right size on both sides, because if your fabric's like this and you're cutting against the edge, the block underneath is going to be short. So just flip that fabric over like that and make sure that your edges are good before you start cutting. And I'm going to put that 5 inch line right on the selvage, and I'm going to cut it out just a little bit bigger so I can work with it easier. There's Sharon Kincaid. How are you? Sharon, I can do one of 2 things. I forgot to send your package out the other day with your baby quilt in it. I can either send it tonight because I'm going up there to Staples tonight, or I can drive it down to you before I go home tonight. Whichever way you want, you let me know. I was going to call you after the show and see which way you wanted to do it. All right, there's those pieces out of our way. Hey, Miss Regina, how are you doing today? What's going on in your world now that Donnie's retired? And if you're new here, make sure you pop in, say hello, and welcome to Living the Dream Quilt Shop. If you're new here, we're doing a 13-week block of the week. We are building this beautiful quilt behind me in 13 weeks. And if you want to join in, you can go to the first video, and it will show you everything you need to join us. The fabric dimensions. Some people are just doing scrappy, and they're using different scraps from their stash. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And let us know where you're from. We like to see where everybody's from. All right. Almost got my greens cut. How's everybody doing on their cutting? 4 3/4 inch squares. And just to let everybody know, all of these patterns we're doing in these block of the week, they might look a little bit complicated. They're all easy enough for a beginner to do, and they're all free online. So I'm not giving away any copyrighted information. These are all common quilt blocks that quilters do, and any of these blocks you can do over and over and make a quilt out of just those single blocks. They look great. Oh, that is so nice. What do you mean you're sick, Sharon? New baby, yay. That is so good. Is that who we did the quilt for? But I'm sorry you're sick. That's awful. You don't have COVID, do you? Elaine got COVID this week. I cannot believe the amount of people I've spoken to this week that have COVID. It's crazy. I think I need a new blade. Either that or the awkward angle I'm cutting. Something's going on here. I can't get it to cut. Ah, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, make sure your rotary blades are sharp. That is #1 for new quilters. Sharp rotary blades. Ah, you've got to be kidding me. Okay. Yes, ma'am. We are cutting 9 4 3/4 inch blocks. 9 different blocks of your choosing. 4 3/4 inches. And are you sure he can pick that up tomorrow, Sharon? If not, I can get it to you or I can ship it out. Either one. Because I believe I already charged you for shipping. And if I did, I'll give him the shipping money when he comes if he's going to come pick it up. All right, so now I have 2, 4, 6, because these are front and back, 7, 8, 9. I have all 9 squares cut, and I will give you guys a few minutes to cut those squares. Yes, ma'am, Sharon, thank you. And like I said, I will have the dimensions up. I'll go live either probably tonight. I'll go live tonight as soon as I check with Seth and see how to get the coloring page where you guys can print it out or at least see it. I want you guys to be able to have that coloring page so you can go ahead and decide next week where you're going to put your blocks. Let me see. While you guys are cutting, I'll go ahead and show you this. Okay, so next week, the block we are going to be doing, and this is the last truly easy block. They're all pretty easy. Just this one doesn't take any little tricks or anything. We're going to be doing the split rail block. So this one right here. And I will have a picture of it online with the coloring page. And you guys can decide how you're going to want that block to look next week. So I'll get that coloring page out and get the dimensions out. So anybody that wants to cut ahead can go ahead and cut ahead. I will be cutting right here in front of everybody for the beginners that want to see how I'm cutting everything out. But I will have it out for you guys so you can just do it ahead if you want. Oh, yeah, Sharon, I'll mail it. Absolutely. I'm going to Staples. I've got 5 orders. I've got Karen's to fill, and then I'm going to Staples. So, yes, ma'am, I'll send that right out to you. No problem. Okay, so you guys tell me about what block you're on with the cutting so I know where we're at. I want to give everybody enough time to cut. Sandy, what block are you cutting on? How many do you have cut? And after the lives, Seth will be shortening all of these videos to to make them into tutorial videos. So while they won't be live, people can go on and just view the tutorial, and they can pause it as they wish and get things finished up. But when we're all together, I want everybody working together on the same place at the same time. That way, if there's any questions, they can ask during the live, and we can make sure their questions are answered. And I see we've got a few people in here. So if you're new, say hey and let us know you're here. We always like to have new friends, new quilting friends. Oh, hit my thing there. Sandy Wilmoth, I just texted you. Sandy's used to talking to her screen, so she thinks I can hear her through the screen. Oh, Angie Stevenson, I just got your message. Yes, we are having class this evening. uh, Angie, let me know where you're at. You're done? All right, Sandy has all of her blocks done. Is everybody finished? I don't want to go on without everybody being finished. And the video might be a few minutes behind, so you guys might not. Angie's finished? Okay. Karen, how are you doing? You finished? Now we're gonna go ahead and lay our blocks out. And there's no real way to tell you this week on how to lay these out. I'm gonna go back to this screen. There's no real way to tell you how to lay these out this week because why does that look so odd? Yeah, it's right. 4 3/4, 4 3. For some reason, that looks like a rectangle to me on the screen. Maybe it's just the angle of the camera. That looks so odd. But it's right. It's a square. What? It's got to be the angle of this. Let me see. That is so odd to me. Okay. Anyway, lay your squares out. Like, I know that I want my middle to be my border fabric. That's going to change when we flip things around, but it really doesn't matter because we're going to be changing everything around. So just lay them out however you want. I wouldn't put two right next to each other that are the same, but just lay them any way you want them. I think I'll put my greens. What happened to my green? Look at this. I'm going to have to cut my green again. And this one, I have holes in my fabric. Why do I have holes in my fabric? Let me cut my two greens again. But you girls lay your blocks out the way you want them. And I'll cut really fast. Never had that happen before. Somebody hacked me. I've been hacked. Oh, let's see. 5 and 5. Quarters. Yeah, I'm really going to have to change this blade. I think my blade's going out. Okay. I am ready. Okay, so we are going to do this just like we did last week. We're going to lay our blocks out, and then after we get these sewed together, that's where we're going to change things up a little bit. So I'll put one orange there. I'm going to put this one here. This one here. And I think I'll put the white in the middle. It really doesn't matter where you put it. We'll be changing it, but there we go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our sewing machine. You're going to flip the middle of the top row over onto the first left in the top row. And we're going to sew this seam. So I'm going to bring it over to my machine exactly like that. I'm going to make sure my edges are even. And I'm going to lay it on my machine exactly like I had it laying here. Make sure you've got that 1/4 inch marked on your machine so you can sew it. And now we're going to sew. I'm not used to this machine. You have to roll the bar a little bit when you start. And I just took my thread out. Okie dokie. Let me rethread my machine. I should have known I was going to do that. Saw a lot of beautiful blocks this week. If you tried to put it on YouTube in the community, Seth will be putting a link to the community in the description. If you can't get it up there and you would like to, you can Facebook message me a picture of it, or you can email me at livingthedreamquiltshop@outlook.com, and I will make sure your block gets posted. We love seeing the different blocks that everybody's doing for this quilt. Everybody's using different fabric, and they're all turning out so beautiful. And it's always fun to see the same quilt with different fabrics. Okay, I let my machine run a couple of extra stitches. We're just going to chain stitch this. So now let me go back over here. I'm going to flip my middle block over onto the middle left block. Make sure the seams are even. And then I'm going to sew these on. And now I'm going to do the same for the bottom two. Flip the middle onto the left. Make sure your seams are aligned. And mostly, because these are both blenders, it would be fine if I accidentally turned it to this side or this side. But if you have a quilt that has directional, like princesses or puppy dogs, and they're all one direction, you want to make sure, that's why I'm trying to teach you guys how to keep it straight up and down. And I'm just going to take that straight to my machine. That way, if you're doing directional, you won't have something upside down in your quilt. That I've had happen a few times. I'm sure we've all of the more experienced quilters on here have had this happen. This block is the 9 patch with a twist, Angie. 9 patch with a twist. Okay, so now I sewed all 3 of those. I'm going to cut them apart. And now I'm going to bring the ironing board on. I have a different ironing board this time. I left, my dear friend Pepper made me my other one, and I left it over at the farm. So, all right. So, if you guys remember from last week, what I do, I press so that this seam is to the outside on the top row. So I'm going to lay my iron down. And the way I do it, I kind of lift this side up a little bit, slide this iron over. Let me see if I can do it this way so you guys can see better. Slide my iron over so that seam is sticking out. And that keeps your material from puckering down on the fabric. And it also makes it so that seam is all the way to one side. Now you can sew it from, you can press it from the back like this. But it's easier for me because sometimes when you press from the back, your material is over a little bit. And then you've got a pucker in your quilt block and your seams won't match up. So whatever way is easier for you is fine. There's so many ways to do so many different things in quilting. And my next one, this is actually the bottom one. I don't want to get these mixed up. So the middle one, we did that seam to the outside. On the middle one, I want my seam to go to the inside. And I think I had them laid out like that. So I want my seam to go to the inside, which is the green. So I'm going to press this direction. Oh, it's this cord catching. I couldn't figure out why my iron didn't want to go over those. And then for the last one, I want my seam to the left on the outside. Jennifer Coon, what are you doing, girlfriend? My favorite bus driver. How are you? My God, I haven't heard from you in a coon's age. Good to see you, Jennifer. Glad you came in. Come on and join us. We're doing a quilt block of the week for 13 weeks, and we're going to make this really pretty quilt back here. Glad you could join us. Okay, so this is actually my middle here. Let me switch back. Okay, so that's actually my middle one. This one is the top one. Make sure I went the right direction on these seams. I did not. I need to redo that one. And I'll redo that when I sew these together. Okay, so here is what you should have in front of you. And we are going to now sew these 3 onto our rows. So we're going to flip this block over on top of the middle, line it up good, and carry it straight to our machine like that. So Jennifer, what have you been into, girlfriend? You still sewing away? I hope so. I haven't even seen you on the last time I just unthreaded my needle again. I am spoiled with my bigger machine, I'm telling you. Jennifer, the last time I seen you, you just had a new hairdo and it looked really nice. I think you might have even colored it. But you know how Facebook is. You'll see people and then you don't see them anymore and you think they dropped off the earth. That's right, absolutely. Absolutely. I am so glad you decided to stop in and say hey. Oh, I might as well use the needle threader because my eyes cannot see that needle hole. Anybody else have that issue? This getting old stuff is for the birds. Okay. Now, I'm going to sew that first one down. Oh, hang on to the thread, Becky, so you don't lose it. All right, I'm going to leave that on there. I'm not going to cut the thread yet. I'm going to take that middle one, flip that right-hand side over to the middle, line them up. And it's a lot easier this time because now we know which side to sew on because we've got the excess on the bottom. Keep that lined up with your seam tape. You want that 1/4 inch seam for all the newbies. And now my third one. Flip that over. Everybody doing okay? Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll show them that when I do the next set. Great idea, Karen. Thank you. I will show you guys about a leader fabric. I'll use one of these scraps that I got hacked with. Oh, you travel as a driver. Well, they need you in Barber County, West Virginia, girlfriend. I don't know how many times we've had to take my son to school this year. The drivers call in all the time. They just don't have enough. And I don't think they have any backup drivers. All right, so we're going to put this back up here. All right, so this is my bottom row. My middle row. And my top row. Let's see. Yeah, so that one was ironed right. It was this. No, that one's ironed right. No, it's not. It was this way. Okay. Okay. So there's my blocks laid out again. Oh, wow. Once in Iowa. Good deal. I hope they're paying you good for that. And paying for your room. Okay. So on your top one, we want to press this side to the right. We want the left side pressed to the left on the top row and the bottom row. So let me turn that over and you can see this one's pressed to the left. I'm going to press this one to the right. And what I'm going to do, let me turn it sideways so you guys can see. I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to bring it over this direction. So I'm pressing that seam out. Just like that. I've got one facing one way, one facing the other. Now on this one, I got my rows mixed up when I ironed when I pressed the last time. So I'm going to press that one over so it's facing in. So now that one is going in, and I hold it up just a little bit, so see how that iron pushes that seam to the outside, to the out this way. It's actually in, but for video purposes it's out. So now both of those are facing toward each other, and this is so we can nest our seams here in a minute. And now on this one, we're going out again. So this seam's already pressed out. We want this one pressing out. So I'm going to hold this up, press it like this, and both of my seams are pressing out. Okay, and I'm actually going to turn this one around so you guys can see that that's selvage. If you ever find that you've cut a little bit of selvage, just make sure that it's less than 1/4 of an inch, and that way when you sew that 1/4 of an inch together with this one, that's going to disappear. If it's more than 1/4 inch, I would rip the seam and cut another block. Okay, so if you guys remember from last week, we are going to nest some seams now. Is everybody up with me on sewing those together and pressing? Yeah, Jennifer, we talked about pressing seams open the last time too. The only reason I'm having them press each way now is I'm teaching them how to nest, and I didn't want their fabric to like come loose at the top when they tried to nest them, so that's why I did it that way this time. Is everybody up with me? Let me know if you've got your blocks together, and if you're ready, if you've got your rows sewn and you're ready to go on to the next one. Meals and a company vehicle. I like that. Okay, so some of you might remember from last week, some of you might be new. So we're going to flip our top row over onto our middle row. And this seam up here is the one we're going to be sewing. So I'm going to pick this up, and when, most usually like with the blocks, we made sure this edge and this edge were even, and made sure that our fabric was even. The first thing we're going to worry about when sewing these rows together is this right here. We want our seams to nest. So what I'm going to do, first I make sure the fabric's even at the top. I don't worry about whether the seams are meeting yet, just that the fabric is even. Let me see if I can get this on the other one better. Not that one. Well, maybe. Yes, okay. All right, so both sides of my fabric are the same height. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my fabric with my finger so I can see both sides of those seams. And I want to make sure that down at least 1/2 inch, that seam is meeting. You can see right here how all 4 of them are fitting together very nicely. And I'm going to walk that fabric right up to the edge. So now one seam's facing one way, one seam's facing the other, and they're meeting right there at the top and at least 1/4 inch down. So what you're going to do is take one of your pins, you're going to stick it down about 1/4 inch, and make sure it comes back on the back through that other seam. And I used green thread. I hope you guys can see that. And then I'm going to lock it down here below, anywhere down there. I'm going to go in at that seam and make sure it comes out right at that other seam. Oh, you guys couldn't see that. So there, that one is locked in. Now I'm going to go down to my second set. We have one more set to match up. I'm going to open it up about 1/2 inch. I'm going to make sure that they are meeting. And you can see, oh, I'm a little bit off. So I want that seam to meet right there in the middle. And I'm going to walk that up. Now I'm a little bit high over here. You can see my material on the back. So I've got to scoot this down. Make sure both sides are even with the fabric. I'm not worried about over here right now. I'm worried about right here. So I'm going to walk that up again. Make sure those seams meet. And here at the top, you can see that the seams on both sides are meeting there at the top. And I'm going to pin that in place. Lock it down here. Make sure it comes through right at the seam. And then I'll straighten out this edge over here. Your main concern, and I have a little tiny bit of an overhang. I am not worried about that, because if I take this pin out and I pull that fabric over to get that overhang, I'm going to lose my points in the block. And we're going to be squaring the quilt up. So we don't need to worry about that. All right. I love you, Jennifer. You're the best, honey. You got to call me and catch up sometime. It's been quite a while since we've caught up on the phone. Do you remember that? All right. So I'm going to bring this over to the machine. I'm going to put that in. Watch that 1/4 inch. Oh, I'm going to show you the leader trick. Let me show you the leader trick. So, I have this block that's all torn up because I hacked it. Or I got hacked, one or the other. So, all I need is a little piece. So, I'm going to cut me a little piece and save the rest for when I need a leader again. So, what I'm going to do is hold that fabric, put my foot down, and start that off and run a couple stitches beyond it. That way I don't have to worry about my thread sucking through my needle again and me having to rethread the machine. So I'm going to bring this over. Now if you have a little bit of overhang at the end, don't worry about that. What you need to be concerned about is both sides of your fabric being even on top, because we will square off later, and if you've got a little tiny bit of an overhang, that is not going to matter. When you square it off, it's going to be cut off anyway. Okay, so we're going to start sewing, and I'm going to sew until I get near my pin. Now, I am close to my pin. I hope you guys can see this okay. Right here's the butterfly on my pin. Right here's my seam. I am going to hold my fingernail right where, right beside where that pin is going to come out. I'm going to press down and pull the pin out. And now I'm going to send it into the machine. Now my foot has a hold of that seam. So now I know that it is in place and I can let go. And I'm going to sew up until I get close to the next pin. And there we are. So I'm going to hold my finger down, slide that out, slowly go up until my machine has the needle or the seam. And then I'm going to adjust my fabric for the end, making sure everything's even. My machine's holding the fabric in place. And send it. I know, Jennifer, so much has happened. It's crazy. All right, and we'll go a little bit off. And then I'm going to sew a little piece of fabric on as the ender. And that way, I can cut this fabric, if I can find my scissors now. Let me get this ironing board out of the way. I've lost my scissors. Does anybody else do this? Does anybody else sit in one spot and lose everything they've got? Here we go. Got the scissors. So I'm going to just cut the thread off of that leader. Let me go back to this camera. There we go. So this is still on my machine. So when I start to sew the next row on, I don't have to worry about holding on to my thread again. Thank you, Karen. Yes, Dottie, always be careful. Okay. So now I have this first row sewed together, and if you look at your points, my points are meeting right there and meeting right there. And that is all because of us walking those nested seams up and making sure they meet. You lost you. I've done that, Sandy. I laughed because it's happened. Now, we want to press that row. And this time, because we're going to do it with a twist, last week I had you press the rows open. This week, it really doesn't matter because we are going to twist this block around here in a few minutes after we cut it in half. So you can press it however you want to do it, because you may have nested seams on the next one, but we'll get through that. I'm going to turn this over and make sure I don't have anything puckered in there. I want that nice and flat. And take that out of the way. And I'm ready to sew my next row on. Okay, so here is my next row. I am going to flip it upside down on top of the other row. Then I'm going to line up my material to make sure each side is meeting. I'm not worried about the edge. I'm worried about each side meeting because I know I'm about to move those edges. Let me zoom in again. Okay, so I'm not worried about over here. I am worried about right here where my seams meet. So I'm going to open that up about 1/2 inch. I'm going to make sure that they're all meeting right on the seams. And I'm going to walk that slowly up with my finger till it gets to the top. Take my pin, put it in this side on the seam, checking on the back to make sure I'm coming in right at the seam. Oh, you guys can't see that. There we go. And then I'm going to lock it in place back here, go in at the seam, and out. Oh, I'm a little bit off. In at the seam, out at the seam. There's one pin in place. Now I'm going to go over to the second one. Match your fabric up at the top so it's even on both sides. And usually, if you have sewed your seam allowance correctly, they're going to be right at that anyway. And I am right on there. In at about 1/4 inch, out on the back seam. Come down and lock it in. There we go. And then I'm going to make sure my fabric is still straight over to the edge. And if you have a tiny bit sticking up, you are fine. When we square it, that will be, it'll be fine. Okay, so now I'm going to put that in the machine. Run my little ender off of there, my beginner now, and send my material in. right up to my needle. And you know, I had showed you guys last week and I forgot. And I forgot my pencil too. Um, you can make a little mark where your seam is a 1/4 inch down. Um, but because we have our seams marked with tape, when you come through, you should be right at the 1/4 inch and your seam should be good. And I'm going to go right up to the next one. Hold it with my finger. Send it in. And sew to the end. How's everybody doing with that? Everybody good? Oh, I forgot to sew my little... Let me get that in there. I'm not used to doing this, Karen. Get forgetful. Cut that off. And we should have a 9 patch here. So go ahead and iron or press that seam in place. I need another camera, Seth. Okay, so I'm just going to press that to the outside. I'm going to turn this over and press again to make sure I don't have any little puckers in my seams. All right, and you girls tell me when you're up with me, and we will do the next step, which is going to be really fun. Oh, Elizabeth Bartlett, okay. You're up with me? All right, Sandy is on the ball. Is everybody else up with us? I don't want to do the next part until everybody's with us. Just let me know if you're up with us. This is the funnest part of this block, and I love it. You can make some beautiful quilts with this. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go on. Feel free to pause the video if you're not up with us, so you can do that at the same time. I don't want anybody to get lost with it. Okay, so what we're going to do now, this is so fun. Lay your block out. Let me go to the other video. Lay your block out. It should be nice and flat from where you pressed it. And then take your square up ruler, or if you have a straight edge is even better. And this time I need to stand up so I am over this quilt. Okay, so when you measure that middle block, let me see. Oh, I need this one. I need to take that wasabi tape off. It should be a little over 4 1/4 or right at 4 1/4. Everybody got that? So there are tick marks in between these lines. Can you guys see that okay? So right here is our 4 1/4 line. There is a little tick mark in between the 4 and the 4 1/4. That's your 4 1/8. Or actually we need to be at 2 1/8. 2 and an 8. There's a little tick mark between 2 and 2 1/4. We want to put the left-hand side of the middle block, that line where it's sewed to this block, on the 2 and an 8. And we want, as far as your ruler will reach, if you've got the 12 1/2 inch, it's going to go a little bit farther. We want that whole line to be running on that 2 and an 8 straight down through your block. Now my block, I've still got about an inch up here, but that's okay. I'm going to move the ruler after I cut. All right, that's going to put us halfway in the middle of this block. And we are going to cut right up through here. And now I'm going to move my ruler up, slide it up, make sure that my 2 and an 8 is still going all the way up this block. And I'm going to cut the rest of that at the top. Now we have cut our block in half. Now what we're going to do, if you can rotate your mat, it's much easier to rotate your mat, but since my machine's sitting on mine, oh, got a little string, I'm going to rotate my block. I'm going to put it back together so it's even. I want my lines nice and even. And I'm going to place that 2 and an 8 down the left side again. And we're going to cut the block in half this direction. And all I can think of is Mario Kart. Here we go. Let's see. 2 and an 8. Make sure I'm lined up good. And cut it the rest of the way up. Oh. I had a little bit of a fallacy there, but that's okay. Okay, so you should have 4 separate, distinct pieces now. Yeah, it's what we're actually doing, Karen, is making sure we're cutting this middle block in half each time. And for some reason, I think it's my camera angle, it looks like rectangles to me. These are actually perfectly square. I don't know if it's my eyesight that's off or my camera's, but it is what it is. Okay, so once you have your 4 separate blocks, you're allowed to go crazy now. You can flip these blocks any way you want to. So there, I'm going to turn that one sideways. I'm going to turn this one sideways. I'm going to turn this one sideways. I'm not so big on this, so I'm going to turn this one up like this. Or, look here, I can slide this over, and I can turn this one this direction. Or, I think I'd rather have that white in the middle. I'm going to move this block down here. No, I don't like that. That's too uniform. What if I turn it this way? And this one this way. And you can see now now I've got 2 oranges together and 2 greens together. I don't want to do that. Let's see. I still kind of like that white over here. So what if I do this or this? No, too blocky. So just move it around until you find what you like. And I think I'd rather have this blue on the outside. Nope, too much orange. I don't like that. Well, I don't guess that would really matter in the greens, but I've got green over here. No, we got to move that. I like that blue on the outside. Just find the view that you like. I kind of like that. Try a couple different things before I decide. No, that's too blocky. And what if I have the white in the middle? And the white in the middle. What do you guys think? Just find the design that you like, because this is your quilt block. Just move them around until you find the design that you like for that block. And it takes a few minutes. It's hard making these decisions sometimes. You always want it to be perfect, and you never know. But this is the way I like my block. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the right-hand block and I'm going to flip it over on the left. Now, some of you might have seams that meet. So mine doesn't. I've got a seam over here on the back and I've got a seam over here on the front. So I don't have to worry about any nested seams. But if you do have nested seams, make sure put your seams together, pin, then worry about the outsides. It doesn't matter if it doesn't perfectly meet. And then I'm going to sew these two together. So a couple stitches past, and then I'm going to flip these two over on each other. And Dottie and I had spoke earlier. Now I have a nested seam to put together. So let me walk that nested seam up, get my pin and get it in place. Don't want to lose that nested seam. Dottie and I were talking earlier. There is another 9 block with a twist that you actually cut twice up and down and twice across. The reason we did not do that one this time is because I kind of geared this toward beginners, and I wanted them to get used to cutting and putting together. And with that, you have 9 different blocks to switch around. So I didn't want to get anybody too confused on it. So that's why we did this simple 9 block with a twist. And by the way, all of these patterns are free online. There is no copyright on any of these patterns. Everything we're going to be doing is common quilting blocks. And what surprises me is the fact that a lot of even a little bit more experienced quilters won't try some of these because they're afraid they look too hard. But you're going to see through this 13-week course, they're easy and they're wonderful and they make beautiful blocks. All right, so I'm going to press these 2 seams. Look how pretty. It turned out nice. Oh, I've got my leader on. I forgot again. Press this one. And there are a lot of people that prefer to press their seams open, and that's fine. The reason we didn't, see if I can find one. Okay, so like right here, because we were nesting seams, a lot of times at the top of your seams, they'll kind of come apart a little bit. And when you're trying to nest your seams, you're actually pulling your seam apart. So I didn't want to start people out doing it that way and having them get frustrated and have to go back and sew the seam again. So that's why we did it with pressing one way or another instead of pressing our seams open. Now, Dottie Dillon is the queen of pressing seams open. I've never in my life seen such beautiful quilts. I think you could use the back of her quilt as well as the front. And let's see. Which way did I have this? I think I had it that way. No, I don't like that orange in the way. Don't know. How did I have this? No, those blues are together. You can still turn it around. There is still time to change your pattern. Let's see if I had it this way. I think that's the way I had it, yeah. So I am going to go with, let me see. I don't know which way I like it better. That has the orange together now. And yeah, I think I like that. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to flip the top over on the bottom. And as you'll notice, I can see right off the bat, I'm going to have two nested seams right here. Over here, I've got one at the top, but I don't have one down here. So I just need to worry about pinning these two right here and keeping my fabric straight for the rest. So come over here. Let me go ahead and zoom in again. Hola, Seth is in the house. There is Seth. Okay, so I'm going to walk this one seam up. Put the pin in at right about a 1/4 inch and tack it in place on down the seam, come up at the seam. There we go. All right, now down here. And that pulls right over, so perfectly matched immediately. That says you're doing a good job with your 1/4 inch. Okay, so I have mine in place. I'm going to go ahead and look here. You can see I've got a little bit of fabric sticking up here, about 1/8 of an inch or less. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm worried about my seams. So, put this down on here. And I'm going to send this material through. Remember, when you're getting near the pins, put your finger down on that seam, pull the pin, and hold on to it until the foot grabs it. Go up to the next pin, hold the seam, send it in till the foot grabs it. And then your material's held. You can go ahead and make sure the rest of your block that the tops are, the top edges are even. Send that right through. And if it starts to come off, just take your time and adjust. And don't go real fast. The faster you go, the more chances there are that your machine is going to send fabric Ari. So take your time when you're sewing. Enjoy the process. Don't try to rush through it and have your fabric pull. Excuse me. Have your fabric pull and go a different direction, because that makes your block a little wonky. Your seams are not even then. So just take your time and enjoy the process. All right, so I'm going to lift this off and cut the thread. I do have a thread cutter on my machine. I'm just used to using my scissors. And I'm going to open that up. Let me change back over. Look how pretty. And press that seam open. Or press that seam, I'm sorry, to the side. And voila, we have, let me get rid of the ironing board. We have a 9-patch with a twist. How are yours coming along? I hope everybody's looks wonderful. Seth, can you explain why this perfectly great square looks like a rectangle in my screen? Is it the camera angle? It's been driving me crazy. Let me see. It must be the camera angle. It's been driving me crazy the whole show. It looks like a rectangle. Okay, so if you all like what you see and you're not already subscribed, make sure, go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We have 11 more weeks of tutorial to make this beautiful quilt behind me. Let me go back to that camera. Nope. To make this beautiful quilt behind me. The coming weeks are so exciting because these blocks are so much fun to do. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. Hit the notify bell for notifications. You'll be notified every time we go live. Living the Dream Quilt Shop has more tutorials coming up, more podcasts. Check out our BNS podcast. We do live sales every Thursday night at 7:30. Join us tomorrow night for our live sales show. Lots of fun and lots of fabric. And you can also follow us on Facebook. So I hope everybody had a great time. How are you girls doing? How did the blocks look? Seth should be putting a link in the description. I don't think it shows up for 24 hours, but we should have a link in the description by tomorrow, so you can post your pictures of your blocks to the community. That way we can all see everybody's blocks. If you can't get it posted tomorrow, email me, send me a Facebook message, and I will post it for you. And also, tomorrow when this video posts, we're going to have a link for the coloring page for next week's block, which will be the split rail. You're going to love this block. And we will also have the dimensions. So if you want to go ahead and cut the blocks out for next week, you can. I will be cutting them right here in front of you to help all the beginners with their quilting needs. Any questions, just email us at livingthedreamquiltshop@outlook.com or post it in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for helping me live my dream. I hope you're all living yours. Everybody have a great week, and I'll see you tomorrow night at the live show.